visible, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, I think we should quickly start introducing myself, right? My name is Ramdev and I work with a company that works in Bangalore. I'm currently working as a Salesforce Business Analyst specialist with them. And previously, I've worked with a few companies in Chennai. I've been in this ecosystem for more than like 5 years now. Right? And before we start the session, I would just want to give you a heads up of what we are going to try and cover in the session. We'll talk about the basic things of Salesforce, what Salesforce basically does, what are the different types of products offered by them, and how does their growth potential look like over the next few years, right? And we'll also talk about a little bit on the BA stream, right? Along with certifications and salaries that you can expect when you make it for this career. So this is what my agenda is going to be about. You can always feel free to stop me in case you have any questions, right? And let's make it a two-way session, like than me talking and putting the Q&A at the last. I would be more than happy to take it at the last, but still, if you have any questions, you can always feel free to interrupt and stop me so that I can get your queries answered. Okay. Does it sound like a plan?
Yeah, Ram, it's completely good.
Sure. So let me quickly move on. So first, I would want to cover up this bit, right? Overview of the Salesforce ecosystem. So most of you should be aware of what Salesforce is by now. So it's basically the world's number one CRM provider. There are a couple of competitors, but still Salesforce has got a good stake in the market, is what I would still say, right? So it is basically a cloud-based software company. So those days, what we used to do is we build a system, we go and kind of deploy it in the customer premises. So they should have their own servers. The cost and maintenance of it, like it was too hard to kind of deal with it, right? So Salesforce was one such company which thought, okay, let me provide cloud-based CRM solutions that people sitting anywhere in the world can develop it, and anybody else in the other part of the world can make use of it. Something like that. You don't need to be in the same location. So all these on-premise concepts have actually is no longer applicable because we have cloud in place. So what CRM basically, see, when I say CRM, it refers to customer relationship management. So you have all the details of your customer in one place so that you can nurture the relationship that you have with the customers better, which leads to better sales, better marketing, and of course, better business to the company that uses Salesforce. So this is how Salesforce operates. I have a few key metrics on how big Salesforce is. I'll be covering it in the next couple of slides. Okay? So on a very high level, if you look at what Salesforce does, is it helps you optimize the customer operations and you enhance the relationships. Like let's say, for example, a lead has come into the system. What is the life cycle of the lead? When do you think they're qualified to be converted into a deal? We call it opportunity in Salesforce. And then how do you give codes, how do you give orders? All of these can be configured within Salesforce, and you don't need to start from the scratch. So if you're already aware of this, I've also seen a few people telling me that you've done your admin certification in this group, right? So basically, you will not need to write codes for everything. There are a couple of configurations that you can do to achieve things, and wherever customization is required, you will do. So it's more like a point and click tool. It's either a low code or a no code solution. That's the way we are looking at Salesforce. And it helps you quickly deliver it to customers than compared to other technologies where you have to start from the scratch. Right? There are multiple products offered by Salesforce. If you see, you must have definitely heard of Sales and Service Cloud, which have been in the market for quite some time now. There's something called Experience Cloud where it kinds of helps you build a portal for your customers, dealers, distributors, partners, right? You can kind of configure all of them and they should be able to log into a particular portal. And Salesforce charges, per license. So basically, if I have 100 users, then I need 100 licenses. Then I will have to pay to Salesforce for 100 licenses, basically. So each license cost you, there are different variants in it. I'm not getting into the details of pricing, right? So that is what it is. And then we have a few tools like FSL, which is called Field Service Lightning, which is of very high demand in the market today. Right? It's basically an extension of Service Cloud. Right? And we have a few other products like CPQ, which is called Configure Price Quote. Now, products like these are, can you hear me? Sorry. Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, sounds good. Everything good.
Okay, fine. I was just, yeah, sure. So CPQ is basically configure price code. So if you want to kind of configure a few products and then if you want to have pricing automations based on this and then giving them a code, we have a product called CPQ. So I'm not getting into the details of any such product. I'm just trying to tell you how big Salesforce is, and you have to look at how many products they have in the market. So any customer comes to me when they come and say, I have a particular problem which is related to CRM, or sometimes it can be related to any of the business problems that I was talking about so far. Right? We have a few specific products related to it. And now today, if you look at focus of Salesforce, they're very much focused on industry clouds. So when I say industry clouds, it is related to health cloud, marketing. Marketing, yes, it's been in the market for some time. There's something called manufacturing cloud that has come in now. There's something called revenue cloud. There's something called non-profit cloud. Now, what I would suggest you to do is after this call, if you can just go to Salesforce's website and try and understand the different products that Salesforce has along with the features, that will help you, understand what Salesforce does, what their different products are capable of. Now, as a Salesforce consultant, I feel it's absolutely important for us to understand the basic use cases that every product is capable of solving, right? That is when you become a Salesforce consultant, right? So that's all I had to cover in this slide. Feel free to stop me if you have any questions. All right, just move ahead. So why do we think Salesforce will grow, right? As I already told you, market leadership. Today, I think Salesforce has a market share of about like 22%, which is fairly good, right? So the way they have grown, I have also included the revenues and the growth of Salesforce over the last couple of years. If you see, they've been exponentially growing, right? And the growth in cloud computing trend is another important factor, like what I told you that doing it on premise versus storing it on cloud. Now it is very simple, right? See, you can, when I say on premise and cloud, you can imagine something like this. There's a difference between you entering details on Excel and storing it on your local system. There's a difference in what you're doing in on Google Sheets and it is getting stored in the cloud. So as simple as that, right? So you can relate it to this example. And if you look at acquisitions and expansions of Salesforce, they have been really good over the last few years. A few major acquisitions that I would want to kind of highlight is I am sure you must have heard of Tableau, right? So Tableau was basically a data analytics tool, and Salesforce acquired Tableau, and now they've kind of integrated that with their environment, and they're selling it as CRMA, which is called CRM Analytics. And I have worked with a few companies to implement CRMA, right? So this is something that's really growing in the market now. It helps you build beautiful reports, analytics, and then it's basically dynamic reporting. It's not static reporting. This is one such major acquisition that happened close to 3 to 4 years back when I started my career. And one other major acquisition I would want to talk of MuleSoft. It is mainly used for integration. And the third one is basically Slack. So if you see internally within the companies today, what we use for communication is Teams and Slack, right? Predominantly. But Slack is basically a communication tool that you can, like, it lets you do threaded conversations. There are a lot of advantages behind using Slack. That's what at least we internally use in our company, right? So these are a few acquisitions that Salesforce has actually had in the past. And recently I saw an article where they acquired a company called Spiff. Is basically a sales commission based platform. I've never had an opportunity to work with it, but it really sounded interesting. So I thought I wanted to call this out in this call, right? So if you look at Salesforce, they have a roadmap to acquire a lot of companies, right? I will share a link with you on this group. You can just go to this link and try to understand more information about this, right? This is a link from the Salesforce's website. Uh, Here they talk about what recent acquisitions and mergers have happened. So this is just to show you the power of how things will work with Salesforce, because how big they are and what is their growth plan and all that. You try to get an idea when you do all that. And the next bit that I wanted to cover is Salesforce AI. So today, everywhere we see in the market, people talk about artificial intelligence. Right? So Salesforce also has done a lot of things for AI. We call something called Einstein. Right? I'll give you a very simple use case. Right? Let's say, for example, you've been selling, like let's say you're in the consumer durables market and you've been selling goods for like the last 5, 10 years. What if the system can analyze the data and come and tell you for this category of customers, if you give them a discount of 20%, your sales might increase by 40%. Now, these kind of, what happens in AI is they basically read the data, they analyze the data, and it's an intelligent platform that helps you analyze how things work, and it gives you a meaningful suggestion. Now, all these kinds of things are possible with AI. I would suggest you to go to Trailhead platform and try and search for Einstein and stuff. So you'll get a lot of things there, and you know how things work basically, right? This is just one use case for you to understand what Salesforce can do for you, right? And it can do much more. I am just giving you very basic examples here, right? And the next one is your partnerships and ecosystem. So basically, if you look at it, the way Salesforce grows in India, if you see, there are a lot of partners for Salesforce. Like, for example, that a company that I work with is a partner to Salesforce. There are different tiers of partnership. Like we have the basic one used to be called gold, then we have silver, then we have platinum. So basically, platinum is the highest level of partnership that you can go. And the next level, if you see, it's globally strategic. So if I am a platinum partner in 5 different countries, then I become a global partner, something like that, right? So depending on your partnership tier and your experience and expertise in each product, you kind of talk to your customers, you reach out to your leads, and you kind of get projects for implementation. That's what we basically do. So here, if you see, looking at the number of partners and looking at number of companies that use Salesforce, I am very sure that they're going to dominate the market at least for the next 5 to 7 years. That is something that we can predict for now. So it's definitely a growing stream, right? So moving forward, this was just one bit that I wanted to cover where you're able to see the exponential growth of the revenue of Salesforce. Now you understand how many products they have, like how their products perform, all aggregated together. In 2024, they've almost reached like see 300, $35 billion is the revenue that they've made. So this is the annual sales that they have made. Like basically, this is the cost that is acquired from customers for the licenses that they've been using. Right? Now, moving forward, a few key stats, right? They have 21.8% of the market share, and this is definitely expected to grow. They have 75K employees so far. This was something that I pulled out from the web, right? And $34.86 billion in 2024 fiscal year. And like this was very interesting to look at. More than uh, 1.5 lakh businesses is using Salesforce today, which is good. So now you understand when you become a Salesforce QA or a Salesforce consultant, look at the potential, right? So with this, I think that's all I had to cover off with the Salesforce bit. I think next we'll talk about what a Salesforce BA does or a Salesforce consultant does, and we'll move in that direction. But I would take a brief pause now to answer any questions if you all have.
So let me put you one small question here on behalf of them.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm a functional QA. I would like to
Yeah.
kickstart my Salesforce journey. So where I need to be start.
Sure.
So what
Uh,
is your
Very good
guidance?
question, Prabhu. And I think you've rightly represented this group. So thanks for
Yeah.
asking this question.
Okay.
What I would suggest is, see, there are two things that we need to look at here, right? See, one is your Salesforce knowledge. That what you can do is you can go to Trailhead, you can go to YouTube. There's a couple of good playlists. Something that I have been following on YouTube is Shrey Sharma's videos. He's called the Salesforce Help. So first of all, we need to build our knowledge on Salesforce on one side. And on the other side, we need to start understanding how businesses work, right? When we are on par with both of this, that is when you kind of get into the Salesforce consultant or the Salesforce BA stream. But where you can start off with is, I think Trailer is a very good platform for you to start with. You can just go there and just see how things work in Salesforce, like how you were pointing out before we were starting the call, right? How does basic sharing rules work? How does uh, anything of that sort, right? Creating a role profile. How does relationships within Salesforce work? All of this we'll need to master first, and that should be the first step for you to do it. And if you're specifically looking to become a Salesforce business analyst, then I think there's a specific certification for it. admin is actually not a prerequisite for Salesforce BA anymore. At least when I cracked my BA, I had to do my admin first and then only do my BA. But today you can do your Salesforce BA certification directly. So certifications in a way prove your worth. Companies trust you that you're capable of doing it, and it depends upon how well things go on an interview, right? Basis that you can easily kind of get into that skill. And then the other aspect that I was talking about, mastering the business process, that happens over a period of time. That doesn't happen overnight, but you can learn it while you're doing the job. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, yes. No, I completely agree with you. The same thing I have been conveyed for all the previous sessions, but I would like to get a few more insights from your experience. That is makes sense. And when we talk about there is a no code or low code, still people are
Yes.
not aware what it is exactly no code and low. So how
Okay.
I can able to categorize it out or understand little more information from your
Sure.
experience?
So what we need to do is we might need to get into the details of Salesforce now. So when I say low code, no code, I'll give you a very simple example, right? Let's say there's a field and opportunity, right? Let's say you want to automate the value of a field based on some other field, right? For these kind of basic things, you don't need to kind of go and write a trigger or a code that we used to do in a traditional days, right? Today, there are a lot of automations within Salesforce. If you see, Flow is one such famous automation tool. It is all configurable, like you can kind of assign a variable to something. Now, all of these, you don't need to go and write a code. Like it's all configurable. And if you would want me to kind of show a real demonstration, then I think we might need another session on this, Prabhu. Yeah,
Yeah, that's completely understood. Because it's a big topic again. The reason
correct.
behind the query, people are coming from career gap and non-IT background. They want to be shine in the Salesforce, but they have a lack of writing a scripts. But they want to be enter. We have two ways, right? One is the declarative, another is a programmatic, where the
Yeah.
declarative will be coming into the low code or low code.
Yeah. So declarative is what I mean when I say configuration.
Yes, correct. So, with respect to it will be gives more clarity for them where they can choose where they want to be go, so where they want to be learn. So that is the main intention of this query.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure,
Any
Prabhu.
questions from your end? I have been asked because I keep getting these kind of questions in offline. So I'd like to be get the answer from Ramdev from his experience. So that is my intention here. Any open query, feel free to be treat us as your peer network. Don't be more formal here, as I initially stated with this session. If you don't have any query, we will move on the
Sorry
next.
to disturb you. Actually, I have the same question as you mentioned.
Okay.
It's nothing to disturb here, Sai Krishna. Feel free to raise your query, not an issue. Whether you got clarification on the query which Ram
Actually,
addressed.
Ramdev has to say about this declarative and programmative approach.
Okay,
Yeah.
Hmm. Thank you.
fine.
So if you want to know more about this, right, again, trailhead is the best platform. So you can just go and search for flows. Earlier, we used to have workflows, process builders, but I think process builders are planned to be retired by the end of this year or something, is what I heard.
Yes,
So
yes.
I think
Workflow and
flow
process
is
builder is
something that,
not.
yeah. So, and one more thing, as BAs or Salesforce consultants, we might need to have hands-on experience in doing flows. Usually, we make, see, if you look at companies, how companies work, right? Admin is a good stream for you to get into. I would say admin plus BA is a good skill set, right? Or admin plus development is also being looked as a brilliant, uh, skill set today. If you look at the market, right? So they start their career as a Salesforce developer, and then they kind of become a solution architect or a technical architect. There's a good path that Salesforce shows. Like you have to complete like 4 different certifications for you to get to that level, right? And there's a good demand for architect also in the market. So far, there is nothing called a business architect. So if you look at the business path, I would say just do your Salesforce admin and your BA certification for now, and keep waiting until Salesforce launches business architect. So I'm sure it's going to come in the future, but not sure how quickly it's going to come. That's where we are. Okay, so let me quickly move on. Let me talk about a little bit of the skills and responsibilities that a Salesforce BA needs to have, right? So when I talk about a BA, it's basically a liaising role. When I say liaising, you are acting as a bridge between the customer and the company. So customer has a business problem. Let's say he does not understand Salesforce, he does not understand which product in Salesforce to implement. It can be an early conversation like this, or probably it can be an existing implementation where they might come and say, okay, I have a Service Cloud FSL implementation, but these are the problems that I have. So as a BA, you would need to be able to understand a business problem in a very clear-cut manner. You should be able to articulate it, document it, write it, and get a sign off from the customer that I have. I mean, it's just a confirmation that I have understood your problem the right way, right? Then you go and explain this to your technical team in a way that they understand, and that is where your documentation comes into the picture, where you will need to do your user stories, you will need to do your BRD, FRD, SRD, and all of this, right? So it depends on project. So basically, I would say your user stories is your base. So your documentation skills play a vital role. That's what I've mentioned in point 5. Going with the list, I am sure that listening role should be clear to you by now. The second one is the ability to be consultative. Now, this is what kinds of differentiates other BAs with us, is what I feel, because most of the BAs that I've seen today are not able to be consultative. When I say consultative, client has a business problem. You only don't think about Salesforce. You have to think about how they can improve their process. Or like, let's say, for example, you need to understand where their people spend their time today, how you can optimize them. Is there a scope of automating them, right? Or is there a better way of doing the same thing that they do today? Now you have to go to that level, become a consultant first in the first place, and then try and see how to stitch this process within Salesforce. So where you start off is with the process and how to improve that. And this is what really helps you in differentiating a usual BA with this. Traditionally, this was not looked at as a BA skill, but these days, I would say it is the need of the market. At least in the last 2 to 3 years, I have realized that if you're not able to be consultative, you are not able to be a good BA end of the day, right? So this is something that we will need to constantly think about and see how to upskill ourselves on this, right? The third one is knowledge in Salesforce. So for this is very simple. Like what you guys can do is just go to the web and see what different products Salesforce offers, right? See, there are two different things. One is your product based and the other is your industry based. I would broadly categorize this into two. So you can go and read about all of them, try and understand the use cases that can be sorted on a high level. See, I don't expect everyone to understand all the features capable in a product, right? But at least you should be in a position where you're able to have a conversation with a customer on that particular product. Right? At least to that extent, we might need to build our knowledge on that. And if you decide that your career would be into Salesforce, this point number 3 is non-negotiable. Like without this, you will not be able to survive within the Salesforce ecosystem, is what I would say. Right? And the fourth one is key business problems, right? So every customer's problem is different. Like somebody might have a problem with sales, somebody might have a problem with service, somebody might say, I don't have a proper place to kind of like, I don't have a portal for my customers to log in and check. Then Experience Cloud should be the fit. So you need to understand what the key business problem is, and you need to be able to kind of see before the implementation how the metrics were. Like, for example, let's say if it is a service project, what is your turnaround time to sort out this particular issue before Salesforce is implemented, after Salesforce is implemented? So you have to be a data guy, a metrics guy basically, and see how much Salesforce has helped them scale up. Because as you all know, Salesforce is a bit of an expensive tool, is what I would say, right? So we would also need to justify to the client as to what extent, or to like how their efficiency was improved and stuff. So metrics is something that we need to take care of, and that is when the clients also realize the power and potential of implementing Salesforce, right? So documentation skills we already spoke about a bit. Communication, again, when it comes to communication, it needs to be, this is again non-negotiable, is what I would say. The way you communicate to customers should prove that you have got good knowledge in that system. And you need to build the trust with your client, whoever you're working with, so that they trust you to the fullest extent that you know the system completely, right? So this communication skill, though it is a skill that's required everywhere for a Salesforce BA, I think it's absolutely uh, you will need to crack this, right? And the next one is your ability to jot process flows and help in betterment. So this is a bit related to point number 2, if you see. So whenever you talk to a customer, make sure that you're able to articulate their process first on a lucid chart or Trot.io, whatever tool you're using, right? Just try and put it up on a screen so that you're able to understand the process session with them, try and work with them together to see where you can improve, finalize the process, and then start getting into Salesforce discussions. There have been a few mistakes that I've done in my career, right? Without even looking at the process, if you directly, talk to them about requirements, you may not be doing the optimal thing, which will require rework. And this has happened to me in the past. So, strong suggestion to all of you would be to first understand a process and see how you can. Then only Salesforce comes into the picture, right? And again, point number 7 is translate business needs into technical needs. Now, when you talk to customer, you're more of a business guy. You understand their problem, but your development team sitting here, I can't expect all of them to understand business, right? But over the period of time, yes. So they will also try and start articulating business problems. But you should be the guy in between to kind of help them understand in their terminology, right? So you probably have to go tell them, here you might need to create a custom object, and then you might need to create these fields, and this is how the automation should work. To a basic extent, you should also be able to visualize how technical things work. As a BA, it is very clear that you need not write codes or you need not review codes, right? That is not expected out of you. If you can do it, it's nothing like it, but it's not a, a must-have skill. I would say it's a good to have skill. But you need to understand, like, if something breaks in the system, you should also be able to visualize as to how this thing could have happened within the codes. So that visualization you need to have, but you don't need to write codes or something, right? Then comes your problem solving and project management skills. So today, the reason why I wanted to call out project management skills here is, if you look at the way how startups work, right? BA does testing, BA does BA's work, BA also does project management also. Like, for example, I don't have a project manager whom I report to. So BA takes care of everything. So when it comes to project management, we'll need to be careful on the commitments that we make to customer, commitment on timelines, commitment of sprint plan, commitment of sprint delivery. All of this will come into the picture when I talk about project management skills. So it's basically managing the emotions of customer and trying to kind of set the right expectations with it, right? So again, training and documentation is another bit. So let's say you build a system, and let's say a customer does not even understand what Salesforce is, right? So initially, no customer would understand Salesforce as good as you or me, right? So you need to kind of train them as to how to use the system. For that, you might need to give them a few documentations. It can be screenshots. It can be a slide deck that you can prepare that they can use for training and stuff like that, right? And the last one is stakeholder management. So we should have weekly meetings with our company's bosses and stuff. So, like, let's say, for example, the CIO of a company, it can depend on the type of project and scale of the scalability of stuff, right? So you might need to kind of talk to them to understand what their expectation is. When I say stakeholder, they are the big hits involved in the project, right? So when you look at people in the high level, they're only worried about the KPIs, right? If you take a sales guy, his KPI is how much am I able to sell this month, or what is my target? Am I achieving my target? No, these are the aspects that the sales guys will be looking at. If you look at a service guy, he'll be looking at, today a problem is raised by the customer. How long am I taking to sort that problem out, right? So am I trying to reduce the time with the use of technology that I have in place, right? So you need to understand the KPIs of each of these uh, persons that you're talking to, and you have to go and you have to go away ahead of them to kind of think what they would come up with in the future also, like what all can help them. Even if they don't come and tell you, you have to give them as a proposal and say, hey, would you be interested in looking at these metrics? We'll help you to improve it. That is the way you need to be having a conversation with a customer, right? So these are some of the important skills and responsibilities of a Salesforce BA. Now, moving on, I think here we have already spoken about this in the same call. If you see the certification suggested for a Salesforce BA, you have to do an admin and a BA. For BA, admin is no longer a requisite, but again, I would suggest you to do admin because as a Salesforce BA, if you do not know admin, then you will not be able to have a good conversation with the customer, and that I can vouch for it. So you definitely need to have an admin and a BA, right? And these are a couple of other certifications that I've listed here for BAs to consider. There are a lot more if you go to their website, but I just called out a few important stuff here. So Service Cloud, FSL, right? When I say FSL, it's Field Service Cloud Consultant, and there's something called CPQ. I think this also we spoke about in the very first slide, right? So these are few certifications that you can consider, depending on wherever you want your skills to grow. But one pattern that I've seen with Salesforce is today, if you look at what Salesforce is trying to sell to the market, they are no longer interested in selling sales and service cloud. They are very focused on the the industrial verticals. Namely, I have seen CPQ being sold intensively today, right? We also have FSL being sold, but sales and service, like it's all like, I wouldn't say it's outdated. It's still a good platform to get into, but you need to focus on all your industry verticals. Health cloud is something that Salesforce is really looking at to grow in India, right? And CG Cloud also they're trying to push, but like there are a lot of things around it. You can talk to me or Prabhu separately if you're interested in trying to do any certification or something. We'll tell you how to guide it. But one more thing I wanted to call out: if you're considering for a certification in Health Cloud or something, you may not be able to do if you're not working with a partner. So if you work with a partner company, there's something called PLC, Partner Learning Community. There is where you go and get your accredited certification. If it is a separate certification, like you can do it on your Criterion, and then see this admin or BA and all, you can do it on Criterion and you can get it. You don't even need to be associated to a partner to earn the certification. You just need to learn, go to that exam, appear for it, and then just crack the exam and get your certification. That's all. It's as simple as that. But for a few certifications in the industry cloud, you need to be associated to a partner basically, right? And when you switch your job to a different partner, your certifications also move with you. Any questions, comments, feedback on whatever we've been speaking so far?
Yeah, I can see there are a few more people have joined
Okay.
lately. So yeah, guys, if you have any basic query from your end. Okay,
Ramdev,
fine.
hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Actually, I have a doubt. I heard about BSA and Business System Analyst and BA. Is there any difference between these two or
Uh,
same?
what I would say, see, different companies name their designations in a different manner. Like today, if you go to the web, you're able to see Salesforce Business Analyst, Salesforce Product Owner, Salesforce Consultant, Salesforce Business Systems Analyst. All of these, there is not, very many major differences and stuff. I feel it is the way they have their designations and set it up, right? So I don't think there's any major difference. Just that the if you are able to kind of have all the skills and responsibilities that we were talking about in the previous slide, then you're sorted. I think these are the major things that are expected in the industry today. In my experience, I can definitely vouch for it. Prabhu, anything from your end?
Sorry, Ram, I missed the last point.
Okay, so what he was, I think, I don't know who asked for it, but the question was, is there a difference between BSA and BA? So business systems analyst and business analyst. So as I was just giving them my perspective on this as to if it is a Salesforce business systems analyst or a Salesforce business analyst, there's not any very many major differences.
Yeah,
It
yes,
is just the
absolutely.
way that, yeah. So
Yeah,
just
it's
your
just a
thoughts on it.
name. Yeah,
Yeah,
Thank you.
great.
no problem. Any other questions?
I have one query here. We
Yeah.
were talking about the administration, business analyst. Somewhere we will be keep saying a consultant, correct? So
Yeah.
whether the consultant will be pointing into any particular cloud or any vertical based upon the
Uh,
business need,
Again,
it
it
will be a
depends, right? Yeah, I'll give you my perspective on this. If you look at startups, right, they want people to be across. So, like for example, we drive a lot of pre-sales in our organization. So pre-sales is basically the sales guy sells Salesforce to them, and they kind of decide what product they will use, and then they'll come to the BA to understand to what best extent they'll be able to use the system. Now, that is when your consultant skills will come into the picture. Now, there are a couple of paths that you can look at. Like if you want to become an expert in Sales Cloud, then I think you can target this certification. If you want to grow your career in service, you can target this certification. But when I say consultant, it can be industry based consultant. Like for example, like if you look at my experience, I would call myself as an industry expert for consumer durables because I've been associated with that industry. So it actually works two ways, Prabhu. One thing is you need to look at how what certifications you can do, and the other thing is the experience that you work with company, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Banking is something that's growing like very good today, is what I keep hearing from people. So there's something called financial services cloud also in Salesforce. So we need to see how they go together. So when I say consultant, you need to kind of excel their process. If you're going to talk to a company tomorrow, you need to know who are their customers, what products they're building, what is their product pricing, what is their marketing strategy, where does money come from, where all do they spend money. All of this, if you can go to their website and read about them, you'll get a fair understanding of all these points, right? Then you go talk to them. The conversation that you have with them will be a lot more meaningful than what you would do without knowing anything about them. If you talk to them, right, then you will be able to see how differently you have a conversation with them, and that helps you build trust as well with the customer.
Okay. Thank you.
So groundwork about a customer or a company is absolutely important, is what I'm trying to call out, and this comes with practice. Basically, your ability to be consultative is not a, like today, it's not a course that you do and you get it done, right? It comes, it travels along with you, and as and when you get matured, and like as and when you grow along with the customer, you understand their problems, then it becomes a lot more meaningful. And the other advantage is, let's say you're working with a consumer or a retailer industry today, tomorrow there's a good chance that you can implement the same product for their competitor, right? So the business problems that they have, that both of these companies face, will more or less be the same, right? Then you kind of see, once you understand the industry, then it makes your life easier. You also need to know Salesforce on the other hand. This is what I mean to say when I say consultant. I hope I'm not confusing you, but I'm sure you're getting the context.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ramadev, I have a question for you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Uh, in business analyst role, do we need programming knowledge or?
No, that's what I was saying. So basically, you don't need to write codes, or you're not expected to review codes. You just need to be able to kind of explain to them the way in which you can do. So a little bit of solutioning will come under the BA, right? So you need to tell them whether you have to create an object or field, or how you can configure these automations, what tools you can use. You can give all that. But when it comes to coding, you can restrain yourself away from it. You need not get into the details of it. But tomorrow, after you go live, when you're associated with the client, let's say something breaks in the system, you need to be able to understand where the codes might have broken. Like, you don't need to write codes basically. You just need to visualize as to how it is built in the system. That's all is expected out of a
A little bit of concepts is okay.
BA.
But
Yeah. So at least, you like, you don't even need to know oops and all or something. It's just like
yes,
common sense, right? If a functionality breaks in the system, and if you know a code has been written for it, then you need to tell the team, go check this particular bit of code. There is something wrong. At least to that extent, if you're able to say, you can manage your life as a BA successfully. Right? And if you look at on the other end, Salesforce is also a low code, no code platform, right? So we are
yes.
trying to get to a direction where we try to reduce codes and try to do more of declarative programming. So I think it will work in sync. You don't need to be hands-on in coding.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Thank you.
Sorry, did you say something? I didn't get that.
Yeah, he said yes.
Okay, okay. Thanks for the confirmation, Prabhu. Should we move ahead?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is the last slide that I have. I'm not going to bore you all anymore. So these are the salaries that you can expect as a Salesforce BA, is what I searched for, and I got this data. Like, if you're trying to get into the entry level as a Salesforce BA, then you can expect between 4 and 8 LPA in India today. Right? If you're looking for a mid-level role, which is between 2 and 5 years, then it will be 8 to 14 LPA. And when you look for senior levels, then you can go up to like 14 to 24 LPA. And this is just an approximate or an average figure, right? You always need not be in this bucket only. Like, for example, I'll tell you, there are a few factors that determine your salary. One is your location, right? So today, if you see, at least in my experience, I would say in Mumbai, pay is really good when compared to Bangalore. Bangalore is a bit better than Chennai, but they have tried to match today more or less, right? And see, this is how it varies from city to city, right? And it also varies depending on your experience and your ability to be consultative. I was calling that your industry knowledge plays a very, very vital role. and of course your certifications. If you have more certifications than your peers, then you are trusted to have better knowledge than them. So as long as you're able to justify that during an interview and telling them I've been working in this industry, and if you're able to kind of call out what key business problems you've solved, and give them a few metrics that I helped their sales increase by 40%, that's a metric that you can give them. And of course, people, when people hire you, what they actually look for is it worth giving this person this CTC? So if I'm going to hire a person for 25 LPA, am I going to get 1 crore revenue from them? So this is what people typically look at. So if you're able to justify that, then you can go to any extent and get money. And this market has a promising potential, that I have no doubt in stating that. And it also depends on the company size. If you see, startups generally don't go to this extent. At least the third bucket, if you see, I have not seen many stories in the third segment, but still there are a few. But if you go to big companies and all, you can definitely aim for a higher salary. So what I would typically suggest is, if you're looking to start a career in Salesforce, it is easier to get into a small company or a startup to learn the nuances of things behind. Once you gain expertise in it, then it's the right time for you to search and move to MNCs or whatever you call it, right? The big corporate companies where people are able to pay you to any extent. Right? So that's what I wanted to highlight here. And thank you so much for listening. It was a very good session. But I expected more questions from all of you. So again, now I am done with my part. It's time to give you answers for questions that you may have.
Yeah, Ram, you've done a fabulous job here. You have been narrated very clearly how that system will be work and ups and downs and the way and career path and certifications, everything. I hope it will be very informative. The people, yeah, I even expecting few more questions, but people might be answered with based upon our discussion. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's see if there are any open questions for another 30 seconds, guys, from your end.
So, guys, feel free to reach out to me or Prabhu anytime. We are more than happy to help you out. And see, this is a promising stream, and like I've been in this stream for 5 years, so I can definitely guarantee that you will have a good career path if you want to get into Salesforce. Any suggestions on anything within Salesforce, you can reach out to two of us. We are more than happy to help you out. Just wanted to call it out once again to make it clear to all of you.
Yeah, any feedback, guys?
Section was good. And actually, I have some doubts regarding entry level positions. Is there any? Most of the recruiters are asking 2+ or 3+ years of experience for the entry level jobs. Yeah. I am hardly finding 0 to 2 years of experience.
So I understand your perspective on this, Sai. I think, see, a lot of people have this problem. Like if you go to corporates and see, like everybody is asking experience. It's a good point that you're raising. But what I would suggest you to do is, there are still a few companies who give you entry level positions. Now you also have to think of another thing, right? What I would suggest you guys is, if you're looking to enter into Salesforce, don't be too concerned on the CTC in the first place. Look at how much you can learn from this job, and then if you're able to do a fabulous job in the next 1 to 2 years, then it becomes very easy for you to jump to some other company to get that done. So one thing is, there are still a few openings for freshers, right? So I think if you target a few startups in the south, you should be able to get a position somewhere for sure. Yeah.
No.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's absolutely because I will be keep sharing that fresher openings also with respect to Salesforce in our WhatsApp group. You check it out, Sai Krishna, if you are not joined it. I will share the link.
Actually, I'm
That,
good. Yeah.
oh, okay, fine. Hope then you will be finding the openings right for freshers also.
Thank you.
And I
Thank you.
would strongly suggest you to kind of stay tuned on LinkedIn. See, one other thing that I wanted to call out, irrespective of any position that you're trying to figure out, see how you can build your connections on LinkedIn, right?
Yes.
The way it works with referrals is something that you will not even be able to kind of imagine. So it's really good, is what I'm trying to tell you. Like even I was having a conversation with Prabhu yesterday. He was also telling me the power of referrals and other stuff, right? So you start getting to know people, understand what they're doing, and take their help to get into an industry. these kind of freshers and stuff should not really matter. Like if you're going with a personal referral or something. But on the other hand, you don't be too concerned on your CTC in the first place. Of course, there's a good potential for you to earn a lot of money in this market, but don't expect that to happen immediately.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that I wanted to highlight. Any questions from anyone else?